Hi, and welcome to 3 Things in 3 Minutes. I'm Nersi. Today we are looking at Architects of the West Kingdom from Garphill Games. It plays 2 to 5 players with solo and 2-player versus AI variants, and plays in 60 to 80 minutes, although with lower player counts especially, you can possibly be done in less time. The game comes from Shem Phillips, who designed the North Sea games, including Shipwrights, Explorers, and Raiders of the North Sea. And while it doesn't have the same Viking theme as that line, it is in many ways an extension of them and their mechanics, especially Shipwrights and Raiders. You play as a medieval architect, trying to accumulate resources and apprentices of 3 different types. All of these are required to construct buildings from your hand, which will give you bonuses and points, or you can use them to build a cathedral, which is essentially a communal point track. The goal is, of course, to gain the most points, but this game has an interesting virtue track where your actions will move you up and down in virtue, giving you some bonuses, like letting you skip some taxation fees and preventing certain actions like building the cathedral, and affecting your score at the end of the game. So things I like. The virtue track is probably the most interesting part of this game. Many of the actions you take will move you up and down the virtue track with its rewards and penalties. Now, you gain or lose points on the track, but only at the end of the game. So there's a fun balance to see how much you can get away with before becoming suddenly virtuous at the end. There's also a clever worker placement mechanic in that your workers don't normally leave the spaces you put them on. The more workers you have on the space when you place one, the more powerful the action. To help keep you in check, other players can capture your workers and throw them in prison for money, or force you to take a penalty to take them back. The strategy of not wanting to be too big a target is a nice added layer. And as with the North Sea games, the art is evocative and has some wonderful personality. Points to consider. The game's worker capture mechanic is what keeps other players in check. It puts the burden of balancing the game in the hands of players, like most Take-That games. And so if the players aren't careful about capturing workers before their actions become too strong, the gameplay becomes unbalanced. The game is also a very streamlined game with a good Euro feel. It can come off as seeming a little short, however, and there are times when it feels like the game ends before you really got to do anything substantial and are just racing for some points near the end. And like many Euro-style games, there's iconography to decipher, though some of it is just less intuitive, especially on the cards. So, in summary, it's a streamlined, though sometimes brief, evocative Euro game with some great art. It balances the virtue tracks and the worker placement, and that makes for some interesting new strategies, but it does require players to balance the game by ensuring you capture each other's workers. Thanks so much for watching. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.